Good afternoon, students. For today's second session of SAP, we have Nagraj sir with us. Nagraj sir, you can proceed with your class, sir.
Thank you, Kunal. Thank you so much.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah. So, welcome back, students. So, we were trying to get into the finance module of SAP. Students were very eager to get into the practical side of SAP. So, we have just started to get into that mode to see the SAP system first. Let me talk to you about the finance system a little later. So for the introduction purposes, for the introduction to the finance module is concerned, I was trying to tell you as to each and every module of SAP starts with some basic structure called as the organizational structure. So each of the module specialists, they would be responsible for creating their own organizational structure based on the needs of X Limited. Here I'm going to stop the usage of the word client till you are comfortable in trying to understand the distinction. Because since now you are exposed to another term called as client, which in the regular English means a customer. Here in the SAP term, the client means a different thing altogether. It is a logical space allotted to a specific user to enter into the relevant SAP system. Clear? Now, and even to enter into the system, SAP system which has been given. What do I necessarily mean by the SAP system? It is the project on which you'll be working. See, I may be working on the project of X Limited. Similarly, I may be handling the project of Y Limited. I may be handling the project of Z Limited. So I'll be having the SAP systems of all X Limited, Y Limited, and also the Z Limited. I hope you have understood. So each one of the systems, I would have to enter the client. That is, each of the systems would have allotted me a specific space within that particular SAP system for me to work. Clear? Now, and it so happens to every other user also. Clear? Any person working on the project will be given this particular information. And along with this is the client. We already know what is a client. Now, using the user ID and the password of the specific individual, he gets the authorization to work on that particular space. All right, now let me take you into the system. Let me log on to our SAP system. Anyway, I'll share the screen, not a problem.
Hello, sir. Are you there? Your voice was not visible, audible. Hello, sir. Nagraj, sir. Hello, Nagraj, sir.
Hi Kunal, you're there?
Yes, sir. Your PPT is not said again.
Okay, okay Kunal. Kunal, whenever I'm sharing,
Okay.
I'm getting out of the connection. My Teams is going out.
Okay.
Just a sec, just a sec. I'll try this time, Kunal. Just hold on.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
I was about to share my desktop.
Yeah, sir. Now it is visible. Your desktop is visible, sir.
Perfect. Thank you, Kunal. Yeah. So,
Yeah, student,
at,
just wait. It will be started.
can I start, Kunal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this we have seen multiple times. What is this called? Okay. I'll double click on this. This is the systems which I was talking. Project A, Project B, Project C, Project D, X limited, Y limited, right? So I would pick up the system on which I am supposed to work. Let me assume this is the system given to me by X limited. I can double click. Now can you see that I have the client, the user ID and the password. So let me assume that I've been given the access to client 900. Can you see the systems lined up here? The place where I'm moving the cursor. They are the set of the logical systems. This is how your SAP system is arranged. I was talking to you about the landscape. All right. Now I'll give the relevant user ID. I'll give the password. And once again, please note that this particular information is very, 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 very confidential. You are not supposed to share this even to your team members. All right. Now, after having given the client the user ID and the password, I can press enter on my keyboard, or can you see the black tick mark here which says enter? I can click on that also. This is for me to enter into the client 900 of Electromech Systems. I'm assuming that I'm working on the project FX Limited. Click on this, or I can also press the enter. Validity date. OK, there seems to be some issue. Let me try with my ID. No idea. OK, not a problem. So this is how, this is the information what I give to enter into the SAP system. Currently, both the user IDs are not working. I will talk to my technical team and get this resolved. So tomorrow we'll be in a position to see this practically. Should not be a problem. OK, they will set it in probably say a couple of minutes. So whenever I finish working on the SAP system, I log off. Can you see the term log off here? I will log off from the system. And to completely exit out of the SAP system. So in the morning also I showed you how you should really enter into the system. Like how would you give this information? Let me assume this is project X, this is project Y, X limited, Y limited, Z limited. All right. I would have to go to the new item, go to the connection and keep adding the, I'll press enter here. So it will take me into a place where I need to enter the information of the SAP system relevant to the particular organization. Okay, X limited will have a different thing. Y limited will have a different information. Z limited will have a different information. So it depends on the number of projects I'm working simultaneously. Clear? All right. So this is as far as the practical side of SAP is concerned. So I will totally go out of the SAP system. So this is how I think in the today morning we were discussing how more I think Madam gave you an input as to how you should, or that was the course. OK, not a problem. So I think I have also shown you the course content as regards this. Now coming back to my Excel sheet. So this is how I practically enter into the SAP system. So unfortunately, I could not log in and show you the continuity. I could not keep up with the continuity because the passwords, I mean, the user IDs were disabled. OK, now. So let me. OK, now we spoke something about something called as the operating concern, which formed a block of our organizational structure. Correct. And I said it is not mandatory. As a matter of fact, even your CO area, your controlling area was not mandatory. I'll add one more. Again, it is not mandatory. It becomes mandatory only when you have the management accounting module. If at all the management accounting module is required by X Limited, only then you will be having the concept of controlling area. Or if for the current scenario, if X Limited doesn't require the management accounting module, you can have the implementation of the controlling side of SAP in the next phase of implementation, in the second phase of implementation. Thus also your operating concern is not mandatory. It becomes a necessity only when cost and profitability module, which falls under the CO module. Your controlling module has profit center accounting. It has cost and profitability analysis. You have something called as a material ledger. I'm just avoiding to write it on the Excel sheet because it is really not required for us. It is simply adding on to the complexity rather than keeping things simple. Clear? So only when the cost and profitability module is desired by X Limited, then and only then you have a concept of including your operating concern in your organizational structure. Clear? Now, once when you have given all the credentials, so your launch pad, you have seen that icon on my desktop. You have also seen the system credentials, that is the functional server ER2, which I just showed it to you now. You saw that numbers, right? 104 something and all you saw. So that is the SAP system which you need to enter, which you need to inform the system. And your login credentials are this. Your individual login credentials are this. Your client, user ID, and your password. Clear? So once you have given this information, there is a screen which opens out in SAP called as the Easy Access. Why the name Easy Access? It is a SAP standard. I would not have any explanation to tell you as to why is it called a Easy Access. All right. Now, just give me 2 minutes, students. Just hold on, students. All right. I just wanted to inform something about the SAP system. That's exactly what I was doing. OK. So that I can show it to you today itself. Not a problem. We can continue. Not at all a problem. Even without this, I can go ahead. So your easy access. So your SAP system is broken down into two different screens. The first screen which opens out to you is called as an easy access screen, which can also be called as the it is called as an end user screen. So the name itself is it is not a secret. This is the place where normally the end users or the users of the SAP system, they enter the day-to-day transactions. Clear? So they just enter the day-to-day transactions in this particular place or in this particular screen of SAP. Now there is also another screen which opens. There is also another other screen existing in the SAP system. It is called as the implementation guide screen or the SPRO screen, or this is the screen normally used by the consultants. Why do the consultants use this place or use the screen? It is for them to design the SAP system to meet the requirements of X Limited. Clear? Did you understand the difference between the two different screens? Who uses this? Who uses the screen max to the maximum extent? This is the place where the end user normally spends most of the time. Clear? So this is what we are going to see. Probably, let me see if I have got the information. Just hold on. Or maybe I can still continue. And to continue on with the organizational structure, this is also called as org structure. You need not have to use the complete term organizational structure. In short, it is also called as the org structure. Okay, so this could be one of the typical interview questions when you initially start your SAP career. Clear? And even for experienced people, if the company wants to test the consultant, whether he has really worked, this could also be a question. Kindly explain the organizational structure, what was followed in your project. Clear? So this for us, for now, is the most important component. Okay, so everything we are going to talk about this and this. The client and the company code, they become very, very important for you to work on SAP. Now we also saw something called as a plank. Again, not mandatory at all. But if at all you are asked in any one of the interviews or what is the normal organization structure, please see to it that you also add this plank. So why does the SAP Finance become a very, very critical side of implementation? Why? Now, any other module trying to construct its organizational structure has to necessarily do it taking the company code as the base. So if at all the production planning module, PP module, people, they have to create a plant. What do they have to do? They will have to definitely construct the plant upon the company code. Clear? So now you can imagine the criticality of the finance model. And who is the person who's going to create all this, create the company code? It is the finance consultant in SAP who creates this. Okay, now just give me a minute. So students, let me also tell you, probably in the initial stages, you may take some time to understand or to digest this particular terms. Please do not worry. Definitely you will take some time to understand these terms and to be comfortable to understand this. Should not be a problem. Don't be tensed. Your examinations are also coming up the next month. So don't be, try to understand to your best possible level. But as and when our sessions proceed, I'm very sure that you will definitely start feeling more and more comfortable. Not a problem. Clear? Right. Now, let me just check with my PPT if I can discuss any general things. Just give me a minute. Okay, I found a very interesting slide. Kunal, I'm just having a look at the Q&A section.
Yes, sir.
Let me just try to answer a few of them.
So till now only two questions are there. One is like, what is the full form of SPRO screen?
Okay, okay. Somebody is so eager to start on SAP. Okay.
Yes, sir. I
Where
think
is
this is nice that everyone is so interestingly want to know about what is SAP.
uh, full form of SPR? Okay. SAP, where is bad users and bad users? Why and why? I didn't understand this question.
Is
I'm
there
sorry.
any disadvantage of SAP and why that disadvantage exists? What is
Mm,
the like? I don't think so. There is a disadvantage.
at least I have not come across any disadvantages of
Not
using
yeah.
SAP. See, the point here is how knowledgeable you are on the system. And as I said, if a person comes to me and tells me that he's very, very knowledgeable in SAP, and I know SAP, probably he can be knowledgeable. There is no doubt about it. But the knowledge could be only to a very, very small extent of what the whole of SAP is all about. So the bad side of SAP comes up only when you do not possess the relevant knowledge. Okay. Now, and somebody asked me as to the practical side of SAP. Please hold on. Please be patient enough. You will have lots of fun. If you do not already have experienced SAP, you will still see. I really appreciate your enthusiasm, but I will also caution you that working on SAP is not as simple as it has been thought of. Okay, just hold on, and the things what I'm repeating is not for the simple purpose of this explanation over and over again has its own meaning. You will see to that you will come back asking me for the same questions. This repetition is for you to drive home certain points, which is very, very important. You may be enthusiastic to see the SAP system. I do not deny that, but I also put in a word of caution. This repetition is for a specific purpose. Okay, and when I open the practical side of SAP, you will really thank me for this repetitions. Clear? Now, full form of SPRO. Okay, let me put it this way. It is some organization. I'll come back to it. Your SPRO stands for this. Not really, not really required for you to know about this SPRO, but I have just given you the full form of SPRO. SAP Project Reference Organization. Okay, it is also alternatively called as IMG. It is also called as an implementation guide. All right. And yes, I was about to share in other screen. Any other questions? Let me just. See, somebody was asking for the to see the practical side of SAP, and you should also understand the plight of the other students also. Somebody is asking for, they have come up with a question saying that they do not have the laptop or the desktop. Okay, so now.
Sir, I think for this, just hold on. I'm clearing all the student. Student, if someone who has received the credential or SAP login, then desktop is mandatory because that application only available on the desktop, not for the phone. Remaining, you can take the classes over the phone or the laptop, whatever your preferences devices are. But for SAP login, it is mandatory. You have to have a desktop to install that SAP login software. Yes, sir,
Perfect,
you can
perfect.
continue with it.
And Kunal, if you can also add as to what should be the minimum configuration of the system, that also would be helpful for the students.
That thing also, sir, we will share it with them on the mail only that whatever the
Sure, sure, sure.
configuration or all the details will be shared.
So what I was trying to tell, what I was trying to inform the students is it requires a good system, good laptop or a good desktop with enough memory, because your installation of SAP itself will take away a lot of space. All right. The course probably, as Mr. Kunal said, you can still attend on the mobiles, but working on SAP, it is not possible on the on the mobiles. You will have to have powerful enough laptops or your desktops so that you can install the SAP software. Yeah. Yes. And I think you could see a question also that students they do not even have the laptop or the desktop. So
Yes,
now,
sir, I think this will be a clear for them after
no,
that.
this is okay, fine. Now I was about to share the screen. You're able to see my PPT, Kunal?
Yes, sir,
Oh,
financial accounting module FI.
perfect, perfect. So why do we have to go to the finance module? Designed for automated management of external reporting. What do we mean by external reporting? External reporting is the generation of your financial statements, which you actually share with your external agencies. Who could be the external agencies? Your shareholders, your auditors, correct? You are sharing your financial results with the shareholders whenever you declare your financial position at the end of every financial. You need to definitely do all this. So which module helps you to generate all this? This is the module, finance is the module which helps you to generate the financial statements for the requirement of the external agencies. Now, as I said, it is broken up into these submodules, or you can also call it as key elements by whatever name you're comfortable with. So basically, your finance module constitutes some other subtopics called as your general ledger, your accounts payable, your accounts receivable, fixed assets, closing of accounts, reporting, right? And what is this controlling module? What does it do? It is required for the internal reporting. Internal reporting. What is this internal reporting? Now we said in the financial side for external reporting. Now we also understood what external reporting means. Now, when we talk about the management accounting module, do we talk about the sharing of these reports to your shareholders or to your auditor or to your governmental agencies or whatever it is? As I said, the management accounting module is only for your strategic management decision making. It is not for your external reporting at all. And under your CO module, you have this. Just like you saw the submodules in finance, you see this as submodules of your CO module. We just got into profitability analysis also when we discussed about something called as your operating concern. So this is one of the submodules under the controlling module. Similarly, you can have a look at what is the aim, what do we achieve by SND, sales and distribution module. Okay, designed to support all the tasks and the activities related to your sales activity, sales department, starting from inquiry to the billing, material management, procurement, and the inventory functions of any organization. So like this, we can study each and every. Now we come down to the general ledger accounts. Okay, now let me see what else we have. I can stop sharing. So what do we have going further? What do we have? What else do we have in your finance module? Okay. Now we have various other organizational elements which have to be discussed as far as your finance module goes. I will tell you in brief what likely we are to look at in the finance side of SAP. What does this course have? Now, so first and the foremost, we have to look at the company code. Second, now You have the company code. Fantastic. You have X Limited. You have brought in X Limited into your SAP system. And I said, this is the role of an FI consultant. Is this enough for SAP to understand what you need to do? What do you normally do, finance activities? Now you have the financial year of the business. You need to explain or you need to mention it to the SAP system. Correct? What is your financial year? Is it going to be January to December or is it going to be April to March? Because whenever we are implementing, or rather we have implemented for the European and for the US clients, we have followed there are different concepts. And why I am bringing all these concepts is we are going to look at each and everything. So be prepared for more and more complex things to be understood. Now, the next thing, apart from the financial year, what else do we have to tell the SAP system? You will have to tell. Now, suppose you have a structure, like say you have a Tata and Sons, you have the Tata business. So in how many business does Tata have? So many businesses. It is into aircraft, it is into automotive, it is into consumer products. Correct? So, and you also have a concept of your head office reporting. Correct? Is this allowed in SAP or is this possible in SAP? Very much possible. So how do you address this? This also we need to understand. The concept of head office and the company codes. So what did I say the company code was? An independent entity which is responsible for generation of its own financial statements. You want me to write it down? I will write it down, not a problem. Once again, you may be listening to a lot of theory, but believe me, this I am doing it on a very, very serious note. It is just for you people to prepare you people for the expectation of this course. Okay, it could be a lot of repetition, it could be boring, but it's all worth it. Even before we are enthusiastic enough to jump into the SAP system and see the live SAP system, this is exactly what you need to know. Right now, so what is a company code? Where is that company code? Okay, I'll explain this. So what is a company code? An indie entity what is the financial statements? Trial balance, profit and loss account, your balance sheet. All right. So whichever entity you can identify that it has to generate or it can generate its own statements, that is called as the company code. That forms the basic definition of a company code. How was it defined in SAP? I will tell you when I open the SAP system for you people. So even before you start operating on the specific company code, in our case, it could be X Limited. What is that you need to mention to the company code, or rather to the SAP system? One is the financial year of business, because you'll have to inform the SAP system as to when you're closing or when you're opening the books of accounts, depending upon where you are conducting the business. What are the other things? You need to also have a list of general ledger accounts which is being used by the business. Okay, who's responsible for creating the general ledger accounts within the SAP system? It is nobody but the financial consultant. Clear? So what is this called in SAP? What is the list of general ledger accounts called? It is the first and the foremost master data which any financial consultant will create. Your list of general ledger accounts what is this list of my general ledger accounts called in SAP? Chart of accounts. So please get used to this, all these terms. Now do you see what and all you must know even before we jump into SAP Finance? Of course, as and when I come up with the topic, I'm definitely going to explain all these things. But since I'm not able to enter into the SAP system for now, I am making use of this time productively in just letting you know what is in store for us. What is it that we are going to look at? So suppose you want to record an entry. You want to enter a journal voucher, expense account debit to bank or cash. Who creates the general ledger accounts? The bank account, the cash account, the expense account. It is obviously the financial person. Yeah. And what is this master list of general ledger accounts called? See, any business, if you're talking about a complex business like that of Reliance or your Tatas, you will have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of general ledger accounts. You agree with me? So all the general ledger accounts must and should be constructed by the financial consultant. Nobody else will create the general ledger accounts, but the financial consultant only. Now do you see the responsibility of the financial consultant? Now this master list of all the thousands and thousands of general ledger accounts which the company may use is called as the chart of accounts in SAP. So what is a chart of accounts? It's a huge list of all the general ledger accounts in your SAP. Yeah. Now after this, what happens? What do you need to do? You should also tell SAP, suppose you have a business requirement in one of our public sector projects. Normally the public sectors, they close the books of accounts on a quarterly basis. Clear? So we open the books of accounts in the month of April. and close the books of accounts March next year. Correct? April 1st. April 1st to March 31st next year. Now this gets broken up into quarters. April to June, September, so this gets broken up. This is ideally the situation in typical to public sectors. Since I have worked on this project, this is how exactly what we did. So now I have started giving you the practical examples also. April to June, July to September, October to December, Jan to March. So the whole of 1 year is broken up into 4 quarters. Now, assuming the same business scenario. Now let me assume I am in the month of September. Or maybe say even July. Just an assumption. Now there is a transaction for the month of June, which I'll have to effect, or rather, there is some invoice of June which flows into July. How do I do it in the SAP system? Now, I cannot enter that particular transaction in this quarter. Why? Because SAP system has already closed this particular transactions for these 3 months. For the first quarter, SAP has closed the transactions. You cannot use any dates between April to June. Because why can't you use? Because the business closes its books of accounts on a quarterly basis, and the accounts for the 3 months April, May, June is over as of 30th of June. So I cannot accommodate any transactions pertaining to the first 3 months. So think about the scenario in SAP. Shouldn't I do the same settings in the SAP system so that the system will not accept the transactions for the earlier quarter? Is it possible or not possible in SAP? It has to be made possible in SAP. But can SAP do it? The answer is yes. This is exactly what we are looking forward to learn in SAP. So this is the concept which we are going to learn as posting periods in SAP. So closing and opening of periods. Okay, this can also take different meaning. The word periods may also mean different in different scenarios. What if I'm closing the books of accounts every month? So 1 month becomes 1 period. So I have 12 periods. There could be a business scenario where I need to close the books of accounts every month. Very fair enough. Clear? So I'm giving you different scenarios and how SAP makes it possible. This is exactly what we are going to look at in our topics. In a topic called posting period, we are going to look at it. We are also going to see the balances of general ledger accounts, We are going to see the trial balance. We are also going to see the customer vendor balances. We are also going to see the controlling side of SAP. We're also going to see how we can design the balance sheet based on our requirements. We are also going to see fixed assets, how the fixed assets are capitalized, how they are depreciated. Clear? So this is what we have in store. AP, we have vendor invoices, vendor payment, customer invoices, customer receipts, banks. So we have all these things which we'll be looking at. AR, AP, AR, asset accounting, starting from capitalization of assets to the scrapping or the retirement of the assets. So these are all the things what we are going to see for the next 2.5 weeks. Here, first is how we are going to let know the SAP system as to what could be the financial year of our business. And you can also see once when I take you into the SAP system, how challenging it is going to be even for navigation within the SAP system. Firstly, to understand what you do in the easy access screen, what you do in the SPRO screen, how we are going to see, how we are going to view the things that is in store for us. We're also going to design the balance sheet. You want to see various reports. Of course, what reports we are going to see? We are actually looking at only the standard reports. Clear? And not because I don't have the luxury of talking to an ABAP person and telling you how you need to change the report and what is the program. Clear? So you will see a lot more. You will see lots and lots of things more. Don't worry. Just a minute. Let me check for the live SAP system. Unfortunately, it is not up still. Not a problem. OK, we can still go ahead. I know there has been a lot of theory which is happening. I do understand. But tomorrow you will see the pace increasing. You will see how we move around within the SAP system. Yeah, you may find it a little confusing, little challenging. Don't worry. So now we will just take a 5-minute break. So please think about whatever has happened and come back to me with questions.
Okay, sir.
Kunal, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Perfect, sir. Students, right now we have taken a break of 5 minutes. It will be around 3:06. We will meet again.
So I will start the session again, Kunal.
Sure, sir.
So I just happened to pick up maybe one or two questions from the Q&A section. First thing is the difference between the client and the company code. What is the difference between a client and the company code? The client is the logical space allotted to a specific user for him to work. You saw that 100, 200, 300, 400. They are the logical spaces within the SAP system which the user is authorized to work upon. See, probably I may or may not have the access to work on all the clients, 200, 300, 400, 500. OK, but I would definitely be given access to work on one particular space within the SAP server. Clear? That is called as a client. Now, what is the company code? Now, the company code, as I explained in your accounting terms, is a legal entity which can or legal independent entity. Let me add that legal also. As defined in the Companies Act. So whenever you are forming a company, you need to do it in according to the Companies Act, correct? So you establish X Limited as per the rules and the whatever is wanted by the company's law. And you are running the business of X Limited. So that X Limited has to be constructed in a SAP. That has to be brought in SAP. And that is called as the company code. I hope you understood the difference. Here, a company code is nothing but the company for which you will be working on. Suppose it is X Limited. So I have implemented SAP for various companies. So in each of the case, those particular companies for which I implemented SAP, they became the company. It could be Hindustan Unilever, it could be whatever, any of the European companies, for whatever I have carried out the implementation work. I think the differentiation is clear now. OK, now in our SAP system, there is already a company code GM01. We are not going to construct any new company code. All right. We are going to work on a template company code which has already got created in our system. Tomorrow I'm going to show you where this GM01 is existing in the SAP system. Clear? And during the course of our sessions, we are not going to construct anything new, because why aren't we looking at creating a new company code? It is simply because that is not the job of an end user. It is the job of a consultant. But anyway, I will take you to the place where the consultant also creates a company. But the only thing is, it could be more confusing. It could lead to a lot of confusions or complications. So I will keep things as simple as possible here. So from tomorrow onwards, I think we are going to jump into the SAP system full-fledged. All right. And we are going to take it forward from there onwards. So there, when we open the live SAP system, I'm going to show you certain things. And even before I took you to the SAP system, the live SAP system, I exposed you to all these things, which is very, very essential. Because when I start working on the live SAP system, probably spending time on these particular nomenclatures or these particular terminologies may not be possible. And the main reason as to why I am still in the theoretical understanding of the topic SAP is you will have to be completely understood these particular terms even before you even start reading your course content, or as a matter of fact, even start working on the live SAP system. Yeah. So tomorrow we will see what is a easy access screen, what isn't. Today it may not be clear. Please let me assure you, I do not expect anyone to have understood in the very first shot. Okay, not a problem. This always happens in SAP, not at all an issue, not at all a thing of concern. Okay, so what do you see? Do you see that all these particular things are addressed to in SAP? Doesn't it sound interesting? So these are all the things what you're going to see. But of course, all these things are strictly the consultant's responsibility. It is not mandatory that the end user or any employee of X Limited should know about this. Rather, how it is done. You should know that they are producing the books of accounts every quarter. That the end user must know. But how is it done in the SAP system? He necessarily or mandatorily may not be knowing. It is not that he should know. He may or may not. So you are going to come across concepts like what is a chart of accounts, what is a company code, what is a fiscal year, what is a posting period. So somebody had also asked me a question as to what is a posting period. So you saw this, the whole financial year, it is broken down, meeting the requirements of a specific business requirement. So what is a business requirement? I said, I have worked on a public sector project where it was necessary for us to close the books of accounts on a quarterly basis. Clear? So the books of accounts would get closed every 3 months. So how would the system ensure that when you move on from one quarter to another quarter, it stops you from entering transactions pertaining to the previous quarter? I hope now things are understood. And what does the consultant do to do these settings? To set up the SAP system to behave like this, what does the consultant do? What does he do? Or what should be done rather? So these are all these things. See what should be done, how it is done. Not really necessary, but I will definitely show it. Since we came about with the concept of your quarters, or rather the posting periods, I went into this. All right. So this is the example for your posting periods. So there could be a requirement in for a specific business requirement saying that my business closes the books of accounts every month. It is possible. I close the books of accounts every month. So how do I achieve this in SAP? What is it that a consultant should do to meet this requirement of the business? He cannot say that no, the books of accounts need to be closed every year only. Okay, he cannot say that. So that is exactly what I said. The knowledge of the consultant is very, very essential for him to give very, very excellent business solutions. Clear? Okay. Now, something interesting, the chart of accounts. What is a chart of accounts? It is a master list of all the general ledger accounts. I'll just add. If somebody has got the professional experience or somebody from your students crowd has already started working, he or she should have definitely got exposed to probably when I started working, not on SAP, but in the finance and accounts. I was given a book running into say some 100 pages, which was the master list of the general ledger accounts, a hardbound book running into say some 50, 60 pages or even 100 pages. Okay, consisting of all the general ledger accounts which was used by the business. Of course, at that point in time, I didn't know SAP, or rather I had just got into SAP. So this is how we convert our practical situations into the SAP, because that is exactly what the business requires. See, X Limited, I'm always taking the example of X Limited because I'm assuming a scenario where X Limited is our implementing company, or rather it's a company where you are going to implement SAP. Clear? So that X Limited, or let me say, in our example, it is going to be GM. So we are going to talk about GM01. So for our live SAP system, we are going to talk about GM01. Okay, it is your General Motors. It is the example, or it is a company code which is already created within this particular SAP system, what is going to be given to us. This GM01 can be X limited, can be Y limited, can be Z limited. So here we have assumed a scenario where we have implemented SAP for General Motors. And that is why we have GM01 as our company code to indicate or to what should I say, to define General Motors. So it is for General Motors that we are implementing SAP. That is the assumption. Okay. And we'll be working probably on client 900. I don't know if I'm given access to the client 900, I'll be showing it to you in this particular client. And we will be working on the company code GM01. Why only GM01? I will explain it tomorrow. When we practically get into the system, I will let you know. Now let me just check the SAP system. Just hold on. No, I think they're still working on that to bring up my SAP system. No problem. I'll get it rectified. I'll get it resolved by tomorrow so that we can start working on the practical side of SAP. Okay. And I will proceed with the topics. Once we get into the practical side of SAP, when we start seeing the different screens of SAP, probably it could be a huge task, especially for people who have not got exposed to SAP. In your student crowd, people may already have had some training, some kind of a training from the local institute. They would have got trained on SAP. So for them, it could be a little easier. But for people who are starting fresh, who have not seen the SAP system, this could be a little challenging because a lot of things have to be understood. And from the navigation side, I'm not talking about anything pertaining to the finance module. I'm not even talking about the finance module. Just the navigation within the SAP system, the initial screen, how you move on to a different transaction. Can all the transactions be done in one place? So once I have given all this information, like say this user ID and the password, once when I've given all this information, do I start working on only one screen? It is not so. It is not at all so. You have different ways where you can reach different places for you to carry out the different routes. What I mean to say is, if at all you're entering a journal voucher, there is a different place. If at all you want to enter a customer invoice, there is a different place. Vendor invoice, there is a different place where you need to navigate. And this probably the navigation to find it simple. You may take some time. Don't worry about the time, but see to it that you learn efficiently or effectively. You learn all these things, what we are trying to deliver. Clear? I know people are enthusiastic to get into the SAP system. Don't worry, we will see it in a very, very short time. Okay, so any questions, Kunal?
Sir, I've already posted all the questions in question and answer sections of published one.
Okay, just hold on, Kunal. I will have a look at it. What is client 900? Okay, company code create me. See, I will take up this question first. The non-SAP to SAP system does it happen during the financial year close or any time during the financial year? It can happen at any time of the financial year. Not only during the opening, not only during the closing, but any time during the financial year, you may, this thing may happen, non-SAP to SAP. During the time of implementation, I'm talking about during the implementation time. Okay. What is client 900? So this 900 is simply a logical space allotted to me to enter into that relevant SAP system. The 900 is simply a number. It can be 100, it can be 200, it can be 110, it can be 120, as designed by the project heads. It is all 900 is just a number. It could have been 901, it could have been 999, whatever. It need not necessarily be 900. But in my case, it is so decided that all the clients would be 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. So we respect that. That's it. So why 900 only? There is no specific answer to that. Okay. But for you to understand, if at all you are trying to ask me a question as to what is a client? Client is the space allotted to me within the respective SAP system. Like I said, I again repeat. Suppose I'm working on multiple projects. All right, X limited, Y limited, Z limited. Okay, I'll be having so many different systems, SAP systems of X limited, SAP systems of Y limited, SAP systems of Z limited. So there, depending upon on which project or to which company I'm meeting, I'm catering my requirement or I'm working, I'll open that relevant working space allotted to me by that particular company. Clear? It is nothing but a logical space within the SAP system, within the SAP server. Nothing beyond that. I hope I have been clear. Company code. Please explain company code, create new. Do you want to understand what is a company code? That I'll explain. But create new, probably I'm not going to create anything new because which is not in the course perspective. All right, but I can definitely tell you what the company code is all about. It is a business entity. Let me assume a scenario where I'm implementing SAP for Hindustan Unilever. So Unilever becomes my company code in my SAP system. That's it. Like I said, GM01. So probably I have assumed that I'm working for General Motors on a General Motors project. So I have indicated my company code as GM01. That is all. But if at all you're expecting me to create something new, I am not going to do it. Because the course simply doesn't ask you for me to create anything new. But there is already a template. There is already a sample company code which is being created, which I will tell you how it is getting created. Also, I will tell you. Not a problem. OK, I hope posting periods, if you have not understood, I may take some time. Probably will be touching upon the posting periods maybe on Friday. Because tomorrow we will be spending more and more time on looking into the SAP system, very interesting, and navigating within the SAP system, trying to understand what is a transaction code, organizational structure. So your organizational structure is nothing but a reporting hierarchy. Just like when you work for an organization, you will have to report to your boss. Your boss should be reporting to his boss. His boss will be reporting to his boss. So like that, the reporting hierarchy, all right, is referred to as the organizational structure. So what is the difference? The organizational structure in SAP defines the flow of data, how the data flows within the SAP system. Clear? Don't worry, I will still explain the company code, full form of SPRO screen. Yes, I will take you into all these things. Don't worry. I hope I have answered all the questions in the Q&A section. So lots and lots of things to be looked into when we talk about uh, the SAP FI module. Very, very interesting. Lot many things to learn. And especially if most of you are new to the SAP system, the learning is even more exciting. Okay. And as I said, please do not pressurize yourself that once I show it to you on the system, you will immediately understand. It is not so in most of the cases. Please give yourself some time to understand. Okay, I'll be making things as simple and as understandable as possible by giving you as many practical examples and common examples which you would have come across or which you would have rather heard in your BCom or maybe in your CA, CWA, whatever. Yeah, it is. So one thing what you need to understand, what is SAP is all about? One simple answer. SAP is nothing more than converting your business. That is it. All the business activities, what you're carrying on, you are converting it into SAP. You are bringing all the operations being conducted in a company in SAP into SAP. That's it. You're going to do exactly the same things. See, for example, even before SAP or even before the companies moved from the non-SAP systems to the SAP systems, weren't there businesses happening? Businesses were existing from time immemorial, right? So all you'll have to do is to understand SAP in a very, very simple way. Convert all your requirements into typical business. Try to understand each and everything what you're trying to do in the logical understanding of the business. It is nothing more than that. Believe me, it is nothing more than that. See, for example, when I spoke to you about the financial year, It is called as a fiscal year variant. Now, what is this fiscal year variant? Don't the businesses follow the year beginning and the year closure? That is exactly what your fiscal year variant does in SAP. It is simply defining your financial year of business in SAP. That is all. Now, do you see how I'm converting the normal business terms into SAP? Because tomorrow from tomorrow onwards, you're going to see all this on the live SAP system. Clear? So to understand SAP, this is exactly what needs to be done. And as I said, I would keep things as simple as possible, as understandable as possible. You can keep asking me questions. Okay. What you have not understood. Okay. And let me also bring in, please do not think that you will be understanding all the things what I show you on SAP starting tomorrow in the very first shot. Because working on SAP is something totally different. It's totally different. All right. It is a combination of your business knowledge and your SAP knowledge. And this I'm talking about from the consultant side. If at all you want to, what should I say? If at all you want to have a career in SAP as a consultant. And today morning, I was also talking to you about the certification. So that is how you legally qualify to call yourself a competent SAP consultant, because you would have got authorized by SAP itself. You also have the certification exams for all the modules. Finance, ABAP, Basis, SD. Okay. You have the certification examinations for everything. But this I'm talking about from the perspective of, if anyone is interested to get into SAP as a consultant, this is one way, one great way of getting into the SAP market. And your quality also, you did not have to prove it to anybody, because you would have already got proved by, you have already proven your expertise by clearing this examination. All right. Now, when we were trying to clear this examination, 70% was a passing percentage. We had to score 70 out of 100. All right. And I think we had 80 questions to be answered, out of which a total number of questions were 80. And all were MCQs. I'm talking about from the certification examination, because I thought probably let me spend time on since I don't have the SAP system, I thought probably I will spend time in talking to you about how the SAP, how it works. Okay. But for you to be a end user, you don't have to formally get educated. No, there's absolutely no requirement for you to clear any certification examination. but you want to convert yourself from an ordinary SAP user to become a competent consultant, you need to go through this particular certification examination. All right. So because this question came up today morning, I just thought, okay, let me add some more information to this. Uh, any other new questions? See, the cost of SAP as a product, it varies. Why does it vary? It depends on what modules I'm trying to implement and how many users are going to use SAP. Obviously, if you're talking about a huge concern like your Tata's, Reliance, okay, obviously the number of users of the SAP system is more and the licensing fees obviously is more. So the cost of the SAP is huge. And basically, it also depends on what are the modules that you want to implement. It is not that once you have the product, suppose I'm not into production. I'm not even going to talk about the PP module, production planning module. I'm not even going to be interested because I'm into services business. Clear? So that is exactly how the cost is decided. The user licenses, what are the modules? Financial professional will be client professional or consultant. Oh, the financial professional. Basically, your financial professional will most of the time in the implementing scenario will be from the consulting team because he is the person who needs to understand the finance operations of the organization, right? And he should also know the SAP system. I think one Mr. Vikash has asked me this question. Clear? So obviously, both when you're talking about from the SAP side, you're talking about from the implementing company side, from the consulting company. The finance professional has to be from the consulting company, and he should also additionally he should also have good knowledge of the SAP Fi. Okay, from the client side, he need not, the finance professional or the finance manager may or may not know SAP, not required. But from the consulting side, he has to know both SAP as well as the finance operations. Okay. Short recap. Not, I think we discussed about what is ERP, what is SAP. Then we spoke about how a project works in SAP, what are the steps, and we got into the organizational structure. We were trying to understand the different modules in SAP, the technical and the functional side of SAP, and what is the strong point which is driving SAP in the ERP space. We spoke about what is integration. And today we specifically came down to the FI side. right? So we spoke about the organizational structure. We try to understand what is the need for an organizational structure, what is the requirement for it, and what is the use. All right. And we also discussed some terms typical to the finance side, which is the company code. Okay, the first and the foremost thing, the company code. And suppose if I'm not really see what happens here is, see the SAP, some person has asked me if I can, and if I can understand the question clearly. Normally what happens when you are implementing SAP during the mid of your financial year, there is going to be a pilot run. So up to a certain date, the reports generated by SAP as well as the non-SAP system, they are compared. And the differences are spotted. Okay. And then normally this is how it happens. Both the systems will be running parallelly until and unless the system full-fledged, the company gets into SAP. Both the non-SAP system and the SAP system will be running parallelly. So at one point in time, the reports, it could be half a year, it could be 7 months, 8 months, whatever. So at one particular date, reports are generated from both the systems and they are compared. So even before the system goes live, these two can be compared at any point in time. All right, I hope I have answered that question. What is the fee required for SAP consultant? I wouldn't know because my company sponsored me for taking up the CO module certification. All right. So I was sponsored by my company. So it all depends on your understanding. If you're already working on SAP and if you want to become a consultant, you can approach your company to sponsor you for your, but normally it runs into a few lakhs for you to take up the course from the authorized institutions. As I said, not all the institutes, they will offer this. Not all the local institutes, they will give you the certification. So you will have to be responsible enough to identify the institute which is authorized by SAP, okay, to give you the certification. They will take up the responsibility of grooming you into becoming a consultant. Okay, there will be a 4 weeks session, Monday to Friday. You need to attend all the, there is something called as an online, offline. So if it is, you can prefer any kind of a coaching. If you want a trainer, you can opt for it. Or if you want to learn offline, you can go and read your topics. But all both the forms of coaching should have to be necessarily from the authorized institutes only. The training should be coming from the authorized institutes, not from any unauthorized institutes. So be very, very careful when you're talking to an institute, and please ensure that they are qualified enough for providing you the certificate, which is authorized by SAP. All right. Yes. organizational structure again. Okay. What is SAP 3 and SAP 4? I didn't understand this question. What is SAP 3 and SAP 4? Just like standard costing, marginal costing. Yeah, everything is possible. What is client 900? Can SAP able to solve costing technique and recommended best choice of alternative from two? We will see when we get into the costing side of SAP. Okay. Okay. I'm in data. I'm already using SAP. Okay. Fine. But here, for people who are already used the SAP system, but here, please understand the other students also. They may or they may not have worked on the SAP systems. Please be considerate. Please understand their situation. And I am doing all this for their. I'm taking them into consideration and then carrying out the scripts. Okay, so probably people who have already used to the SAP system, they may find the sessions repetitive or off, but most of the people, they are not so. Okay, so please understand their situation also. So because somebody said that they have already started working on the SAP system, this answer is for them. Don't worry, I will take up the organizational structure again. Not to worry. So even if some people, they claim that they are working on the SAP system, probably, I don't know under what capacity they would have worked as a consultant or as an end user. But believe me, as an end user, they would not have seen the complete SAP system. Somebody says that they are in Tata and they're already working, good enough. But if at all, see, the area will be restricted. As I said, a person in an organization working as an end user will not have the access to all the things in SAP. And here, I'm very sure that people who have already working on SAP also will find something very different. All right. So don't worry, we will look at the organizational structure. But I didn't understand this question. What is the difference between SAP 3 and SAP 4? I really don't know. Okay, I didn't understand the question. So for people who claim that they have already worked on the SAP earlier, I want them to definitely come back maybe after a day or two, or maybe say even after at the fag end of the session, saying that they have learned something new. They saw something very different from what they have already seen. Okay. And I am very sure and confident that I will definitely get to know that they have got a different insight into the SAP screens itself. All right. Kunal, any other question which you see that I have left unanswered, please let me know. We can.
Sir, I think we have already covered all the questions, sir.
Okay.
Our student previously exam was conducted, but right now till now no update we have got till now. Once we get the update on the conduction of exam related to skill training, we will notify you accordingly. Thank you, sir, for today's session.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kunal. Thank you all. So see you tomorrow.
Sure, sir. Thank you, student, for today's session. Right now, we are ending up with the today's session. Again, we will meet you tomorrow at 11 o'clock for the next session.